Hi, this is Mary Flores here, and you are here at La Prensa de Colorado. We're going to start with the simple questions that I think is very important for the community to know. Who is Mike McIntosh?
Who is Mike McIntosh? I have lived in Colorado for a little over 40 years, and obviously grew up here from middle school on. Met my high school sweetheart here at Brighton High, and then after I left Colorado and joined the Navy, when I came home, we got married. We have 2 kids, and now we have 4 grandkids.
Oh, wow.
And I spent most of my career in service. So right out of the Navy, I came back to Colorado and I joined the Adams County Sheriff's Office in January of 1988. And I worked in the Adams County Sheriff's Office
Nice.
for 31 years.
Wow.
Worked in almost every position, every division that you could work in. And the last 4 years that I was there at the Sheriff's Office, I was the elected sheriff of Adams County.
Okay. So the next question, are you a politician or you are a person who cares for this community?
That's a question that I always say that I'm not a politician. And it is because it's not about the politics. It's about ensuring public safety, and it's about the community that we serve. Unfortunately, you have to get involved in politics in order to get the job of sheriff.
Okay. So what qualifications do you have that will make a difference between you and your opponent?
I would say that we are at a time in Colorado, actually even in the nation, where crime is out of control, that we really need to get on top of that. The other thing that I would say is we really need some very solid leadership within the Sheriff's Office itself, and we really need to make that connection back with our community. I believe that we don't have time to have a new sheriff go into office that's never been a sheriff before, that doesn't understand the role of that would have to learn that role. We don't have time to wait for that.
Okay.
We need to put somebody in there that's already been there, somebody who has the experience, who has already built the relationships, who has proven leadership, somebody who can walk in on January 10th after being sworn in and hit the ground running and get on top of connecting with our community, ensuring that we're starting to build the Sheriff's Office back up with great leadership, and getting on top of crime.
Okay. With all the issues that we have here in Colorado, I would say, pretty much all the counties, talking about crime, drugs, delinquency. If you get elected, what can you do to make these communities safer?
Yeah. I would tell you that right now I think our 2 biggest priorities when it comes to crime is fentanyl, and it is auto theft that is going on in all of Colorado, but specifically Adams County.
Because we have that on the front page.
Right. But specifically
Yeah.
Adams County is one of the highest auto theft counties in the state of Colorado. So we're going to have to really make sure that we are building relationships with our law enforcement partners and building relationships with our neighborhoods so that we can start to combat this collectively together, because individually we're not going to be able to get on top of it. But we really need to work as a unit, kind of like a task force. So we have a drug task force in Adams County, and it works on and is serviced by or is employed by members of all of the police departments and the Adams County Sheriff's Office, to include Broomfield. It's kind of the 17th Judicial District, right. That's what makes up our drug task force. So we need to kind of take that model and make sure that we are collectively collaborating as law enforcement leaders to look at where our priorities are and what's going on in Adams County, and putting together a plan that we can collectively work on together.
Okay.
Whether it's auto theft or whether it's fentanyl. But the sheriff is the chief law enforcement officer in the county. The sheriff needs to stand up and take that leadership role, and I think that's what we're lacking, is somebody standing up and saying, let's start moving in this direction. Not that the sheriff has all the answers, not that, but it's bringing the smartest and the brightest together so that we can start tackling this issue.
Okay, so you are running as a Republican.
Yes.
So why vote for Mike McIntosh this coming election?
You're going to have to ask that again.
You're running as a Republican.
Yes.
So why vote for Mike this coming election?
Oh, why vote for Mike? Because I think that we are at a time where Adams County specifically has been under one-party control. It's been under the Democrat control for the last 4 years. Our state has really been under one-party control. And when I look at, are we better today than we were 4 years ago, when there was a balance and there was some work that was being done together across the aisles, I would say that we are not better off today than we were 4 years ago. Crime is out of control, inflation, jobs, safety, what's being taught in our schools. And I think that from a public safety perspective, I really believe, and whether this was intentional or not, I really believe that it looks like the criminal has been put first and the victim has taken a back seat to the legislation and the policies that have come out over the last 4 years. We've got that wrong. We've got to switch that around. We've got to make sure that we're taking care of the victims of crime. I'm all for fair treatment of those that commit crime, but I'm also for holding them accountable and responsible for the crimes that they committed. And I think that we've lost our way there. And that's why we need to start putting people back into office that puts the victim first, that puts the community first, and not the criminal first.
And start to make the difference. Yes. Okay, anything else that you think is important and I didn't ask you?
I would just say when you look at when I look at putting somebody in the chief law enforcement office anywhere, I think that you need to look at somebody's resume.
Okay.
And when you look at my resume and the jobs that I've held and the law enforcement leadership classes that I've been through, and really our success that we had from 2015 to 2019, the sense of community that we had internally within the organization, the reduction in attrition, which means we were able to retain our employees in the Adams County Sheriff's Office. So we had much more experienced officers, which becomes very, very important when it comes to the investigation of, and really even the treatment of our citizens when an officer responds. The more experienced they are, the citizens are the recipients of better police work when you have folks that have been working in that profession for longer. So again, to me, it's important that we put proven leadership back in place, that we don't vote on who should be in that office by party politics, but by the person that we're putting in there. When a police chief is selected, a police chief is selected by their resume. When a sheriff is elected, it's elected by the vote of the people. That's a great thing, and I would never want that to be any other way. I think it's really important that the people choose the chief law enforcement officer in their county.
That makes sense.
But I think that we should be choosing just like we would choose a police chief based upon the resume. Who's the best qualified for the job and who's going to be able to get the job done? And that, to me, is why you would vote for Mike McIntosh on November 8th.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mike, and we wish you the best.
Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate that.